because this is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's pretty much the same that was given at technical review.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and feedback was, this is too dense.
Some people just don't listen to feedback.
Well, I haven't changed it. Yeah, some people don't. That is true.
But that's for the work meeting, right?
Let's see. Blake, you want to give the pledge? Sure. And I'll give the invocation. Still. Whoa. That's better. Wow.
Well, it looked like everybody was in the dark.
Well,
They were that way when the lights were on.
just when the lights are off. Not figuratively, right? I hope.
Not yet, not yet.
few things to do first.
Oh, sorry. Waking up.
How are you doing, John?
How are you? Haven't seen you forever.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good to
Glad
see
to
you.
be here.
All right. Welcome to Planning Commission.
Thank you.
All right. Ready to get started, Tammy? All right, let's get started. We will start with a pledge of allegiance, and that will be given by Commissioner Neal. A moment of silence invocation will follow, and I will do that. So I'll turn it over to Blake.
Okay, please stand. Repeat after me. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our most kind and righteous and eternal Father in heaven, we come before thee at this time as citizens of our community and thank thee for the freedoms that we have. We thank thee for the opportunity we have to discuss our community and ask thee that thy spirit be with us, that we will use wisdom and knowledge in the decisions that we make, that we will be civil and kind one to another and treat each other fairly, and that we will have thy spirit to be with us. We ask thee to bless our families as we are away and help them and protect them and keep them safe. We ask a special blessing upon those that protect our freedoms in the armed forces and in the policing forces, that they will be protected and they will be guided, and that that we will be able to continue with the freedoms that we enjoy and have. Once again, Father, we are grateful for our community, and we say these things humbly in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Okay. I'm going to read an opening statement that we read at all of our meetings. All those attending should have signed in. The Planning Commission is interested in receiving public input and treating everyone fairly. In order to treat everyone fairly, it is important that everyone understands that the Planning Commission is governed by Utah state law and Plain City zoning and subdivision regulations. These codes can be found online and contain the criteria that the Commission must follow in making its decisions. The Commission will make both legislative and administrative decisions during this meeting. Any legislative decision will be recommended to City Council for final approval during their scheduled meetings. Persons making presentations or providing comments shall address the Commission from the podium or microphone and not from the audience. Individuals desiring to make comments during the appropriate public comments or public hearing times are entitled to 3 minutes. Persons shall state their name and address and will direct their comments to the Commission and may not directly question or interrogate other persons in the audience. Proceedings before the Commission shall at all times be orderly and respectful. Audience demonstrations such as applause, cheering, display of signs, or other conduct disruptive to the hearing are prohibited. Any persons behaving disorderly, abusive, or disruptive may be excluded from the meeting. The Planning Commission has adopted rules regarding outside contacts, otherwise known as ex parte communications. Commissioners are not to engage in communications outside of the public meeting regarding administrative applications. If you desire to speak to commissioners, it should be done at a regular meeting so your comments, concerns, and evidence are on public record. Having said that, were there anybody that had any ex parte communications? Start with you.
None for me.
Blake?
Yes, I had a discussion with Mr. Bart Cragen.
Okay.
Like that.
Okay.
And he's here this evening too, so we'll be covering that in the Sage Creek subdivision.
Okay, sounds good. Commissioner
I had
Ortega?
none.
Okay. And I had some correspondences with Link Construction about the process and what was required for the approval of the subdivision. So that was my ex parte. All right, I neglected to do a roll call before I dove into the opening meeting statement, but we are without Commissioner Abelman and Commissioner Skeen. So, okay, so, all right. Now, since we don't have any public hearing tonight, this is the time for public comments. If there is anybody that wishes to address the commission regarding anything, now is the time to come up and do it. Okay, there will be no other time during this meeting where we have public comments.
Will there be, I'm just asking, will there be public comments during the work meeting?
No.
Okay.
He's got his hand raised over there.
Would you like to do a public comment? Please come up then and address us.
My name is Con Wilcox, 4640 West, 2200 North, Plain City. Also a co-owner of the Bar W Ranch, which borders Sage Creek on the north, and Mr. Cragen on the, I'm west of Bard's Place,
Okay.
a 70-acre parcel. As you know, I've been before you for years, over the years. Our goal when we moved was we bought this place, 70 acres over there, and our goal was to eventually build. And we submitted a preliminary plat April 11th of '24, which we realized will have to be resubmitted. We paid the fee, but won't have to pay that this time. But we're very glad to have Centerpoint Construction taking this development. Been very pleased with their timely and professional work that they put in over there. They installed my irrigation system, which it was in desperate need. And it's like a dream. It's, was done correctly with proper materials, proper size pipe, very conscientious, and met the irrigation schedule, and everything I see about them, and very stand-up and presentable. And we're confident that they will take this development and move it to the next, and answer all the questions that were in the engineer's comments in the last time we submitted, so that we're looking forward to building. So
Okay.
that was just an 8-lot subdivision, acre-and-a-half lots on the Bar W Ranch. Okay?
That sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay. No other comments? Any comments online? If you are online, please raise your hand. Let us know, and we will let you speak. Okay, seeing none, we will move on. We'll go into the approval for the minutes of September 25th, 2025. Commissioners, do you see anything that need to be added to the minutes?
They look good to me.
Okay. I see Blake has notes on his paper.
No, this is,
Oh, this is the agenda.
this is something else.
Okay, anything on the minutes?
No.
Okay, I will entertain a motion.
I'll move that we approve the minutes for the September 11th, is that what it was? 2025?
September 25th?
Was it 25th?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong paper. I'm sorry. Yep, for the September 25th, 2025.
Okay,
I'll second that.
motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. No, it's okay. I can see how you would get confused with that. Okay, technical review report. There was no technical review. So I believe we have one scheduled. Not yet. Okay, I thought there was a mention of one possibly.
There's been a mention.
Okay. Okay, then we'll go on. We'll move into our administrative items. That's his discussion motion on Sage Creek subdivision located at 4377 West, 3600 North. This is Phase 1, 30-lot subdivision. Do we have someone who represented that wants to come up and speak to the commission?
Good evening. Pat Burns with Link Construction and Development. I believe we're up here to confirm a letter from Pineview. As far as I understand, that's what we were asked to come back for. Is that anything different?
Well, there's more than just that, but it's needed.
That's correct. There was more.
Okay. Did you guys see the letter from Pineview?
I'm referring to, even in our minutes, the motion that was made that these were contingent on a deeded well to Bart Cragen. From what I understand, that hasn't been done yet.
That's contingent for the final plat, correct? It hasn't been done yet.
This is,
It'll be done on the final plat. When we record the final plat, it'll be deeded to Bart Cragen on the final plat.
I believe that was subdivision approval, was it not?
that's for approval, it had to be done.
Okay.
That's,
Then the other thing that was in the minutes, and then it says, Josh did this motion, but also that for Weber County's approval of 3600 North.
correct. Are you saying all this has to happen before pre-construction meeting?
This is just part of it. It says the approval was contingent upon a deeded well to Bart Cragen and the utility easement and a Bonavista water connection for Bart Cragen and Weber County approval of 3600 North.
Ron Hales. I'm out of Morgan, Utah. I own CenterPoint Construction. So when we were out ready to go, because our understanding, and as I read the minutes, we had approval conditional of these items being met before we received permits, which down in the bottom of those minutes, it states about the permits, that no permits will be issued until all the criteria is met. As we
Right.
go through a conditional, it's our understanding that those conditions will be met before permits, and there's still the process there. So we didn't understand that, but we're here because we were just notified about the water issue. We didn't really understand that we were being held up for any additional items because of how the meeting minutes were written. So
Well,
we're
yeah, but
able-
look at the motion, if you look at the motion, at which all of us voted on and approved.
I read that. There's two parts to that. I also read the meeting minutes. I'm not here to argue. We're just here to understand. So
Yeah,
we've tried diligently over the last 2 weeks to make all this happen. And we apologize. There's no problem deeding that. But it almost seems like we're being targeted for something that we're not trying to do. So we're coordinating with the city, we're coordinating with everybody, trying to move forward. Sorry.
I can't deed that over till we record the plat. On the plat, it'll be deeded over, unless I go get a.
Can you not write an agreement between you and the,
It's one parcel. I'd have to go get a meets and
so
bounds.
can you not write an agreement between them and have it written and have both of you sign it?
But that's not what you're requesting, right? You're requesting a deeded piece from a plat that doesn't exist, and we've been given approval conditional. Why were we given approval if we didn't have
it was a
the ability
first
to
review.
proceed?
It was a first review.
It was,
It never stated it was, we had additional reviews, right? Did we?
It's in the minutes.
yeah,
Well, okay, we're really not here to argue, we're really here to try to provide you what you wanted. And we've done a significant amount.
Well, let's go through what the items are that we feel they need. So the first
would be
thing
great.
is
well, the water which they've addressed.
Pineview. They've
Right.
gone through and they got the approval for the pump house from Pineview, which we got today, right? Okay? And then there was the deed for the well,
Right,
okay? Then there was the issue with the Weber County Road.
right.
What's specific on that issue with the Weber County Road?
That,
I have a letter from you.
Do we have a copy of that letter?
I turned it in, yes.
It's just not in here?
Well, it's from the last time,
Oh, I wasn't here on that last, I
No, I mean-
apologize.
the last.
The last submitted.
So why is that in the minutes that that's part of the approval if we already had the letter?
I don't think we had the letter.
I don't recall seeing a letter.
No.
The letter was like in 2024?
Remind me what that letter says.
So you requested the.
I was asking Tammy.
Oh, I apologize. I thought you were asking me, sorry.
You guys can keep talking while I.
Okay, you're looking for that. So we've got that letter, we're looking for that letter. And was there anything more?
No, those are the only.
Those are the only things.
Two things that were actually identical.
Contingent on a deeded well to Bart Cragen and a utility easement and a Bonavista water connection for Bart Cragen and a Weber County approval of 3600 West. That's in the motion.
I think we changed updated the minutes.
I'm not seeing where you're talking about that the minutes also say something about
I don't
the
have the
permits.
minutes here, and I'm not here to argue, honestly.
We're not either. We're
I'm
just,
here to understand. I mean, from a construction standpoint, we received an approval contingent upon meeting certain criteria.
correct. You are exactly right. And those contingent things have not been addressed. One of them has.
Well, and I'm sorry, because this is a misunderstanding from a construction standpoint, right? So this wasn't Pat, this was a construction company hired to do Pat's job. We looked at that and said, okay, as long as we meet all of those conditions before a permit is issued, and I believe down in the meeting minutes later, it specifically states that, then there's usually no issue. And that's how I typically have done that in planning commission. So it's 100% on Centerpoint. I'm here to correct it. We want to correct it. We just need to understand what that is. I didn't understand that list. And in the communications from our people, I just didn't see that. I missed it.
I feel like if we can find that letter that checks two things off the list, if we can all agree that the deeded well happens at the point of the recording, then maybe that we can cross that hurdle. But I'm just saying, that's what was written in the motion.
I agree
So,
with that.
yeah.
Again, I'm not here to argue, so
Now, we've had contractors stand up before and say they would do something as part of the plat, and it didn't show up on the plat.
That's why we're kind of hesitant on the
So, so that's why we are hesitant with this based on that.
I'm great. I didn't understand that walking out of the last meeting. I understood that it was approved contingent upon certain items. The next thing I know, we're red tagged and saying, hey, we can't do this, we gotta get back on the planning commission agenda. I didn't understand why. So it's a clarification on my part.
What are we
So-
saying was approved? Because I don't think we approved their application.
No, we
We
did not.
approved it as a complete application, and that starts the process for our review, right?
This is what happens when,
Miscommunication.
He was
from-
asking for a preliminary, we explained that we don't do preliminary approvals anymore, and so we approved it as an accepted application.
it was approved to review Phase 1 contingent on those things, which that's, again, we gotta go back to, we gotta stick to the way it's supposed to be done and not do any kind of approval on the first
I
review.
know, the approval I think was the wrong word, we said that, but we were accepting it as a complete application, and so we have not yet approved the application itself.
But the wording says, motion to approve first review, Phase 1 contingent on these things. That's all I'm
That's
saying.
where I'm,
Right,
right, the word approval
Mm.
doesn't mean that I'm coming back again. It means that, and I understand the law, we have up to 4 reviews
Mhm.
process, but where this was already existing, we were coming in saying, hey, what is required? Again, it's me. I'm
Yeah.
taking full responsibility. We're attempting to try to get everything taken care of.
right,
I just didn't understand that piece.
right, so we haven't
See the
given
word
final approval yet, whatever the wording was, we haven't given a final approval yet, and there's some things, and I think we're just going through the things to tell you
The
exactly
list.
what you need before we can give you a final approval.
That's great.
Yeah.
Again, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, and that's all we're doing. And so we've gone through the list, so we have the letter for the water, and we're looking for the letter from Weber County, but
Which Tammy has, right?
there's an issue with that, because that was from a previous application. That wasn't associated with this application. So are we gonna get a
That
new
was
one?
back from 2022.
Yeah.
I just want you to know, I understand your confusion, because it says approve first review, Phase 1.
So I don't know that we need a
Understand
new letter from the county as far as the road, but we might, I don't know. That's what I don't know, is if we need a new letter for the county saying we approve the road for this application, because
Do we have that letter? Did we
We
find it?
do, it's from 2022.
Well, and maybe that was my concern, because it's already been approved once, but that wasn't why it was stopped. So we're just trying to cover everybody's bases.
Right. And so
Uh,
that's what we're
really-
trying to figure out, is
The
that's what,
application.
from 3 years ago, that approval letter from the county.
They'd have to
With the
resubmit
different,
an updated
with the different
application.
application. So I don't know if it applies to this application or not. If it does, then we're good, but if,
I don't know if it does.
That's a fair point, too. It was a new application. It's very confusing, sorry.
Well, I think it's confusing on everybody's part, not just mine.
so where you already have it, if we could just get a new approval letter from the county, they've already approved it, I don't think that'd be a big deal, but otherwise we'll have to look and see if we can apply that to this new application. Does that make
See,
sense?
I don't know. Why do they need a new letter if it's...
I know, I
it's the same
agree.
circumstances,
I don't think
just
we need
different
it, but
dates.
we want to make sure we're doing everything by the book here, so.
I want to do everything by the book.
Right.
Um,
So it might apply to this one, I don't know, but it's where it's 3 years ago and with another application, I don't know if that applies. I don't,
So it feels like the only hiccup perhaps is the deeded well, correct?
yeah, and I don't know the complete procedures for that, what the order is, when that has to be.
You said you spoke to Mr. Cragen.
Yeah, in fact, he's here this evening, and
And is he concerned about that actually following
Yeah.
through?
Well,
So there's your hiccup.
because I think the issue, I think,
Can I
so
ask
when
a
we,
question?
okay, go ahead.
If we can't deed it over, can we do a written agreement right now?
Absolutely.
I'm fine with that.
To do that, so that we don't have, the issue is,
Well, let me ask,
how do we do that at this point? I mean, we have a legal document that states we're going to do it.
Where's the legal document?
Your minutes.
well,
It's the legal document. We have to meet all those.
But is it on your drawings yet?
We haven't recorded anything. It's not on the plat, right?
I don't see it on the plat, no.
That's 'cause
and I
we-
think that's what first brought this to Mr. Cragen's attention, that it wasn't shown on the plat, and so he was concerned that it wouldn't be done.
Okay.
Well,
Maybe
I
we ought to
understand-
ask Mr. Cragen how he'd like us to do that.
Well, I
That's
don't know that
what-
we need to do
that's-
that here. So if we're under agreement that that's what's gonna happen, you guys aren't gonna get building permits until that's done, right? And so,
That's how it works in every other
I
jurisdiction.
don't think that's an issue, as long, and it would make us all feel better, I guess, if you had a written agreement to just ensure that's going to happen. But if it's going to happen on the plot, and we can do it at, or the plat, and we can do it at that point, we wouldn't give you building permits unless it did, because you're bound by the minutes, and I think we're good on there.
And I agree that this is a legal document, and it states in there it needs to happen, so
Yeah, so
I
even without
agree.
the written agreement, I think we're okay, but it might not hurt if we just did that.
Happy to do anything.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Cragen has something,
Would that satisfy you, Mr. Cragen? If you had an agreement? As long as on the agreement the connection is?
We agreed to the connection last time. It's in the
Okay.
minutes.
So, we'll leave it to you two to work that out then?
Okay.
And we want a signed agreement.
I think you shouldn't speak from the audience, sorry, you need to come up to a
come
mic.
up to the mic here, Bart.
As far as I know on my deed, there's no utility easement from my gate west or south. So,
So you're asking for more than just the well to be deeded?
no. But there's no utility easement for where that could be recorded on. Does that make sense?
So you're saying it's not enough to just have it on the plat?
Pardon me?
You're saying it's not enough to just have it recorded on the plat?
I think that would be fine,
Okay,
but I want the Bona Vista connection on there as well.
and you're okay with that?
Yeah, it's in, yeah, we
Okay.
agreed to that last time.
Okay, sounds like you'll get it.
Okay.
Okay? All right.
So I would say we table it until we get that agreement,
Table it for what?
until we got the agreement.
I feel okay with going ahead because it's in here and
Okay.
that's just my opinion about it.
Rob?
I mean, it'd make us feel more comfortable having that agreement, but I don't know if that's our business really,
It
for them
is.
to work out, and
I kind of agree
where
with.
they've met our requirements, I don't know that we should hold it up for that.
Okay.
But where we do have the agreement on the minutes, that, I think that's as much as we can do.
I will entertain a motion then.
So are we approving the application at this point? Okay. So with the road, they're making the improvements to the road to make it, what,
Can we just say Sage Creek subdivision? Is that phase one? Phase one?
Correct. Yeah, they're,
I'm still confused a little bit about how, so we're able to do up to 30 units off of a arterial road.
correct.
The improvements to the existing road that's there, they're gonna make that an arterial road? Is that what we're doing?
The Weber County Road is what you're talking
Right,
about.
because there's already existing homes on that road. Because I think 5900 would be the arterial road, and so you'd have to subtract all the homes that are already on that road.
Right.
Are they part of the subdivision though?
Well, it doesn't matter because you can only do 30 units off of that road. And so we shouldn't be allowed to give them an additional 30 to what's already existing on that road coming off of the arterial road without a second access.
Without a second access, correct.
Right.
That's right. So the road has got to be done before any additional lot over 30 is approved.
So I guess that's my question is,
Yeah.
when it's done, when we're saying when it's done, that makes it the type of road that you can do 30 units off of that. Is that correct?
That gives you your secondary access, right?
So it still is single access, right?
Single access, yeah.
But they
Okay.
can do
And
30
made-
30
Your
units.
second access is what I'm saying.
No, there's no second access, is there?
No, they'd worked it out so that it was gonna come out by the rail trail on the Jackson
Right,
property.
okay. Okay? I will entertain a motion.
So wait,
I think
I
you're
don't think
still
we're, I don't think
confused.
we were clear on
I
that.
think we're still talking about whether those homes that are existing on that access road count towards 30 homes.
Oh, I see.
So I'm saying 3600 north, is that an arterial road that we can do 30 units off of that road? Because if not, then we're doing 30 units off of 3900 west, right? And so you'd have to count all the houses that are already on 3600 north, and you could only do up to 30 including those houses. Unless 3900, or 3600 North Street is going to be an arterial road, then you could do 30 units off of that before you had a second access.
So I'm just trying to think this through. In other developments, do we count the roads, the homes on the access?
I don't think we ever have.
Well, I think it's dependent on the type of road it is, like that.
Well, they're usually coming off of an arterial road, like 2200 or North Plain City Road or 5900. But there's already a road coming off, 3600 North comes off of
Because
the
in the end, we're talking about how many cars are going to be driven on that arterial, that access road,
Yeah,
basically, right?
and the increased traffic and things like that.
Do we know how many homes are already existing on there?
We could count them real
Yeah.
quick, there's not very many.
There isn't.
If we needed to lower the number of homes that could be included in Phase 1, are you guys okay with that?
Right, I just don't want you guys running into this later on, you know what I mean? Where we have a limit of 30 homes that can come off of a arterial road, and so I wanna make sure that 3600 North is an arterial road, or else you can't do 30 homes in addition. Does that make sense, what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying, but the ordinance on a new subdivision, as long as fire marshal approves it, you can put a new subdivision on with 30 more lots. You can't extend past 30 more lots without another.
I can't hear everything you're saying, sorry.
The ordinance says that you can have, on a new application for subdivision, you come in, you can get 30 lots on a dead-end road, basically. If you extend past that, you have to have fire access, emergency access of a road that'll hold 70,000 pounds, 24-foot wide easement that'll hold 70,000 pounds with, I can't remember the term, it's snow removal, and it has to be able to be maintained. A maintained road of 70, that can hold up the vehicle up to 70,000 pounds. And your ordinance requires for this to actually have that to be paved. So on Phase 2, I have to put in that road all the way through the Jackson's property, and I have to pave it. That's in the subdivision agreement.
So I agree, so you can do 30 homes off of an
The
arterial road.
reason that that road is up even for discussion is because it's a substandard road. It doesn't have 24 feet of asphalt, so it doesn't meet Weber County's ordinance for it is a substandard road unless it has 24 feet of asphalt. Just like the development 2 lots up to the east, I don't remember the guy's name, I'm sorry, of Sage Creek, when he put that development in, he had to put the frontage in and make his asphalt all 24 feet wide. They didn't make him come all the way down, but they're making me come all the way down with finishing the asphalt on 24 feet, and that's what that letter states. So it'll make it so it's not a substandard road. That's what the road is referred to.
Okay,
The Weber County letter is referring to a substandard road, because that's all in Weber County.
so we passed an ordinance since his last application about the 30-unit limit, right?
Yeah, they can't use
So
a fire
if someone
road.
comes in and builds a 30-unit phase, and then it's complete, they can't then build another 30 units off of that, because,
Without another road.
Another access.
yeah, and so where this road, 3600 North already has 15 homes on it, looks like, somewhere around there.
That's what I got.
You can't go an additional 30 unless that's an arterial road that you can do 30 homes off of. And so my concern is that if 5900 West is the arterial road, we already have 15 units coming off of that road. And so we can only do an additional 15, according to our new ordinance about the 30-unit limit.
Because of the 15 existing homes,
Correct.
okay?
So unless 3600 North is created as a arterial road, off of which you could do an additional 30 units, I don't think we can approve it for 30 additional units.
You don't think we can approve phase 1,
Not with 30, because there's already 15 coming off the arterial road.
okay?
Now, this is, as far as my
Is this the
understanding.
road right here?
That's the road that comes out by the rail trail, this one right here.
So is this the one they're talking, is the Weber County? Oh, up here, okay.
Well, we've already secured all the easements. We already have all the stuff recorded for putting that road in. We're ready to submit for phase 2, so we'll have that road going in anyway. Because we have to loop the culinary water. We have to take the sewer all the way down there. So we're doing all of that anyway.
Okay.
So we'll have our secondary access.
And this might not also matter because it's a county road, right? 3600 North is a county road?
3600 North is a county road.
So maybe we, according to our ordinance, could go 30 units off of a county road. I just don't know, that's what I don't know for sure.
What you're saying is, if the 15 existing homes count as part of the, yeah.
But they are
Yeah.
they are in Weber County.
Mhm.
They're
Right,
That's
but
right.
but it's still the same ordinance coming off of like, we can't do an additional 30. But maybe where it's a county road, we can do, in Plain City proper, we can do 30 units off of that. That's what I just don't know, and I don't know if we have somebody we can ask to get clarity on that, but,
I don't,
because otherwise, we're gonna have to limit them to 15, so they only have 30 units coming off of that main road until they have a second access. That's why we're doing only 30 now.
I don't know if we have that information,
Okay.
okay?
Yeah, my inclination is it fits our code, so.
I'm of that opinion as well.
That the 30 units coming off the county road is okay as far as our ordinance goes? Okay.
But I'm just one, maybe two now.
Well,
What do you think, Neil? Like
Yeah, I agree, off of 3600 North, you could go 30 homes.
Okay.
Like that.
okay?
I just don't want them running into it later, so.
Right, we don't wanna approve a subdivision and then find out that we can only do half of it according to our ordinance. You're
Okay,
right.
but coming off a county road, we think we're okay to do an
Okay.
additional 30.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
That's my only concern then.
All right,
Yeah,
So-
something like that, I think would have been addressed when they brought it in for phase 1 and the whole
Correct.
thing like that. We would have said, there's these homes right here, you're gonna have to reduce that. And so they would have had their drawings to reflect those homes, and we didn't ask or require that.
yeah, I agree. All right, so we ready?
I think so.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve Phase 1 of Sage Creek subdivision at approximately 4277 West, 3600 North.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Nay.
And one opposed?
Yeah.
That's 2-1. Motion carries.
Is it? Do we need 3?
Are you not?
Do I need to vote?
Yes,
Ask the
you need to.
attorney.
Do we need 3 votes to,
Then I'll vote aye just in case.
can I get just one clarification? Should I get the letter with Bart and bring it back to you guys? Do you want, I just want to make sure we don't miss anything. If you guys want the letter.
I think it would
can have-
make everybody feel better if it was part of the file. Yeah.
Okay, I can do that. We
Yeah.
could probably, if I can get with Bart, I'll get it signed tomorrow. That would,
That'd be great.
Or
okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Do you want me to give a city council review since all the city council's here? Okay. I won't do the report. We'll forego commission comments. You guys feel comfortable with that? We'll just adjourn?
No, I have a comment,
Okay,
sorry.
you have a comment.
Sorry.
Okay.
I came in the other day to grab my packet and ran into Trent, and...
Trent told me that,
Oh, he did?
yes.
So I think we need to look at the DADU again.
Okay.
I think that we probably should not have taken out the limit on the square feet of the DADU, because I think there's somebody now looking at building...
Modular home.
Yes, a modular home in their backyard with the full square footage allowed of 25% of their backyard.
Right.
And I don't think that's what we intended.
I did tell him in the ordinance itself, it does say that the DADU cannot be bigger than the primary structure.
Okay, that's in the ordinance, okay. But still, you can put a pretty big house in your
You could,
backyard.
if you have a big house, you can put a big, if you have a 3,000 square foot house, you could put a 2,999 square foot.
Yeah, so I feel like we need to maybe bring that up again and take a look at it, maybe we seem to always find people who find the loopholes.
And that's what Trent said, and he was trying to put a modular home, which by the ordinance you can do, so.
I mean, the modular doesn't bother me a whole lot, I just think the size of it is gonna be too big.
I'm waiting for storage containers, man.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so maybe we need to address that too. If it's an
All right.
issue, we need to put it in there.
Well, it's also, I don't think we can even do anything about that one, but avoiding bigger problems
Just
in the
for
future
future,
with the
yeah.
same loophole is what we want to look at, so,
Yeah.
yeah, I agree.
So if you don't mind, if we could add that to an upcoming agenda? Okay.
This is a follow-up, kind of on that. They had a report it's called Terrain Community Development down in West Jordan, where it's really basically multi-generational housing like that.
That's happening now in Utah a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love my kids living with me, but I don't want my mom. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
But I actually got online and looked at their development, and it's nice. I mean,
Yeah,
the homes like that.
it was on KSL, I think,
really?
recently, yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
so, maybe that's when we get to our general plan or something like that. Or
Right.
zone or something like that.
Maybe so.
Ideas of-
That's definitely a good idea. Okay. All right, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
Motion and a second, all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. I won't use the gavel.
Oh, come on.
Okay, fine. There.
Are we
All right.
moving the tables?
Move the tables
Wanna
up.
Just sit where you're at?
Sorry I dragged that out, you guys.
It's all right.
I'm just so
I've-
concerned about contingent.
I know.
Knowing our developer,
I know.
I,
Hi.
You're adjourned, right?
Yes.
yes.
I want to raise fuss. You guys adopted International Fire Code, and the fire code says no more than 30 houses on a dead-end road. It has nothing to do whether it's a county or city,
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
so they'll probably be stuck to 15. Does that make sense?
By the fire.
By the International Fire Code.
International Fire Code Appendix D.
Really? Okay, that's good to know.
That's how I'm reading it.
Where were you? Get up to the mic. I'm just kidding.
No, we wouldn't allow that, actually. That's-
that's something that we need to address in the actual, where it says, how many homes. So they know right up front if it's on a dead end road.
You're right, we need to make it more clear.
Right.
30 homes on a dead end. not this wishy-washy, because we're not sure.
Yeah,
Are they?
maybe I should, I don't
However,
know.
I also agree, it should have been brought up at the beginning, but we had a different code back then,
Yeah, we did.
a different ordinance in the city.
Okay. Did you say that? Number,
Well, we approved it, but they still have to follow the, that's
sorry, this is number 3. Oh, 3?
what I was trying to say, like,
It's gonna hold them up.
Exactly what you were
That's what
saying.
he is saying. They'll get down to it.
That should be enough, shouldn't it?
That's a question.
we'll let Trent give him the bad news.
Yeah.
Wow. I know. That's not good.
I'll turn them down when I get over there.
On,
There. Here's some of those.
internet.
Come down there or what?
Well.
You ever
then-
see Office
then we're-
Space?
I haven't.
The guy puts his elevated over at the manager.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, if you ever noticed that.
Is he Michael Scott?
Thinks he is. He elevates his spot so that above everyone. You can go ahead and sit there if you'd like.
Just come sit here. Sometimes, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I have it open here.
I just peek at Jared.
Take your back picture.
I want you to make some.
Out of that, did you see that?
It's just the papers.
I turned them down. I'll turn them down.
Brandon, all right.
Remember, right?
Oh, I just got him this. Justin's packet, but we can put it back in.
But I do. Okay, I'll do that.
Is there microphones?
Actually, I have everything.
We need refreshments. Should have brought my water. I'll-
Have we got this where we can put it on the page?
I know, that I, when, as soon as you said it, that.
That's what I was working on. I'll put it up there for you if you give me a second.
Well, that's all right.
And there's two of you, what's the other? Oh, okay, okay. So it's really just you.
It conforms with the future land use map. I just want the,
Need to.
We need to go,
Crimes, yeah, he's the guy.
at least I think
Crime
it's
files.
better.
right, I got it. Is the Cubs game?
Okay, that's all I'm gonna show.
Okay. I might need an update in
Now do with what we need to do. All right. How is everybody tonight?
Great.
Great, super.
Let's roll.
All right, let's roll. All right, how do we want to start this?
Let's just start it.
Presiding, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Thanks for being here, everybody. Do you have anything you want to start with? Legal? You good?
No, I think the city council's up to speed as far as legal application goes, and it's also included in the packet, the relevant ordinance. So if you have any questions, I'm here.
Okay. All right, so it's been a hot minute since we've had a discussion. So who's got a better memory than me that can catch everybody up to speed?
You?
Yeah. Some of this has changed since what we talked about, because now we're putting lots.
These have gotta go.
I can,
No,
I think.
they're too close.
Ooh, that's better.
This one's off. Oh, now it's on.
Okay, turn that one off.
That one's on?
We don't want all three of them on.
You probably only need one. Okay. Tammy, I'm in there, so let me in.
All right, so catch us back up to speed where we're at. We do have different plats than we've had in the past.
Yeah.
Catch us up.
Okay, so, I think everybody's aware of where the property is. It's over here, just south of us there. And the city has, a general plan, designated for the, let me call it the north portion of the property, it's roughly, 17.19 acres as open space slash park. We came in and rezoned all of the property to what the city's general plan was, which was the 18.5, or 18,500 square foot lots with the northern park, right, where the city wanted. Now, we're trying to figure out as developers, and where we're having to pay for that land, a way to come up with something that makes us whole and also makes the city happy. I'm gonna take a second to time out real quick. In looking through the city's ordinances, the city doesn't, or as far as I can find, has not written an ordinance for what's allowed in park or open space. And so the city might wanna take
So-
time to do that. Nothing.
Before you get that far, you're coming in as a residential overlay. Is that how this is going to work, right?
Yes,
When you're talking about parks and amenities, that usually relates to
To a
the,
residential overlay type of zone, which we do give open space requirements as part of that ordinance.
yeah, you do, and that,
Okay.
and I'm sorry, I'm just totally taking it totally back, away from us, nothing to do with us. I'm just saying, for the city's own protection, I don't think that you have written a code of what's allowed or not allowed in your parks or open space. And I'm just suggesting the city should probably write a code saying what's allowed and what not. You know, know, because permitted uses, conditional uses, and not permitted? zoning, does that make sense? Yes. It's just to protect the city more than anything, because, you get what I'm saying? I understand, yes. Nothing to do with that. So, at any rate, in our last conversation with the city council a couple weeks ago, it was suggested that we drop a map, which would be this, the colored map here, that would show how many lots we would have gotten on the property if they were all 18,500 square foot lots and all meeting that zone. And you can see that that's 153 lots is what we were able to fit with all the roads and such.
And that's all 18.5.
That's all 18, yeah, that's just 100% if we went in and we didn't have this issue of the northern 17 acres of the property being zoned park.
can I just ask, did that include 100-foot frontages on all of them?
Yeah, that 100% met the code all the way across.
Okay.
Roads, lot frontages and everything.
Okay.
We relied on the engineer to do that, and that's just the number he came up with. So,
All right, I'm trying to drive here for everybody on the screen. Don't tell, I tend to get going a little fast, so let me know if I need to slow down on the screen here. So there's the data, if you can see, if I've got that written right, if I've got that right. That should be right. Okay, perfect.
exactly. So, the city might disagree, but we kind of see it as a taking. And where, hey, the open space has no economic value to us or the landowners or anything like that. And the city wants it as park or open space or whatever
we are more than happy to work with the city to, I wanna say, give you that property, but some sort of, I wanna say remuneration or compensation for it. So, is what we did, as, discussed last time, is we redrew the map. This is the white map, and it's allowing for the park, but it reduces the lot sizes down to what because for developers, it comes down to the number of lots. I'm not gonna lie, right? Everybody says, well, we'll give you smaller lots, we make more money. No, developers want as many lots as they can get, right? So, drawing it down, and it was also suggested by a couple council members, hey, stick at 15,000. So that's what we did. He essentially went with your 15,000 square foot zone regulation, matched all of those, and he was able to come up with 152. So we kind of lose, I want to say for lack of a better word, lose a lot, but the city gets the park, we still get the same number of lots.
And we stay above 15,000.
And we stay at 15,000 or
So,
bigger.
this is different from when you first came in for the first technical review and you had 7,000 square foot lots and,
Well, we knew that 7,000 square foot slots were never gonna go, but that first map that that was a sketch plan, I'm gonna call it, that showed some, arenas and stuff like that up there. Strictly sticking with your chapter 20, your residential overlay, you know, we would've gotten a third bonus, and this is 80 acres, and this is super rough math. 80 acres, we would have gotten 160 lots, then we get another third on top of that, so 240 lots. And that was that map you saw, where those lots were
Okay.
small, and we knew that really wasn't gonna fly.
that was the feedback that you got from that meeting, that wouldn't
Well,
work.
that was also the feedback we got from the general public. It's just not
Yeah.
what you guys want, and we get that. Plus, and we looked at it and we thought, well, if we push these lots, the dollar amount of I'm gonna call it the third of the property with all the riding arenas and stuff far exceeded the cost of it was gonna exceed the number of lots that the city, I think we had come up with something that was around, what was it, 170 or so lots? With that arena, and it just, for the extra 20 lots, we're putting in, $750,000 worth of.
$1.5 million.
Of all those amenities, it just doesn't make sense economically to us. Does that
Okay.
make sense? So we're trying to come up with what I believe is a reasonable balance of the city gets the park, the lots are still large, they're true third acres. I think that it adheres to chapter 20 to a point, but I also was reading, you guys have the chapter 7, which allows for basically a PUD. Am I wrong? That's chapter 7?
I was pretty sure we removed all PUDs.
PUDs.
7.5. Is may have been the best thing.
What's 11.7? Cluster subdivisions.
Okay, so,
Sorry.
we do have that in there, so, yeah.
This, I believe, would also apply to the cluster subdivision. It might take some tweaking. The downside of that is your code calls for a maximum of 25 lots per. And I'm gonna use the term legally speaking, we could, as a group, even just say, well, each phase is technically and legally a separate subdivision.
You can technically say whatever you want.
Is that right?
No, you're right. If you're going to do a cluster subdivision under 11-7-2A, it shall contain, no such cluster subdivision shall contain more than 25 dwelling units.
But that's a subdivision, not a phase.
Right.
That's what the word says, subdivision.
Because I think when we wrote that, that was brought up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's what you guys meant, but
Certainly, it's what was intended.
inserted the word ahead, and I hate throwing it out. Legally, I think phases are separate subdivisions. You could technically name them separate subdivisions, but we're not here to
what we're trying to do tonight is we're trying to stay with the spirit of the larger lots, okay? And yet, you know, we end up with 17.
Okay?
And so we thought that by reducing from 18,000 to 15,000, which is still a full third acre, we're staying with the
Right.
intent of large lots, okay? And even though we're only getting 152, where technically, you know, we could have gone up to 240 with 7,000 square foot lots, which we knew would be a 5 all the way along. And we were never intending to go 7,000 square foot lots anyway. We just used that to show what your ordinance overlays.
And you understand, even though you're using the word technically, that all of that is up to the discretion of if that would go through. If we would allow you to do 7,000. Okay, just making sure.
We just thought that if we stayed with the spirit of, and what the general public wanted was large lots, okay? We feel like the 15,000 square foot are still large lots. They're just a little smaller than the 18,000, and then it allows for the city to end up with the 17.1 acres, and we could move forward with the project.
Okay? Okay.
We had a public hearing, correct? And it was supposed to be
For this project?
to rezone.
Rezone it to 18.5.
We did, huh?
Okay, so now we're doing an overlay, so now we go down to 1,700? Is that?
The overlay has to be another public hearing. It has to be, and it actually goes through us and you guys because it's a land use change.
Okay, and then.
Because it's a legislative
Yes, that's more technically.
Remember, yeah, the park is zoned on the future land use to be park.
Right.
It's not necessarily that they don't want. I'm guessing they'd rather not have it zoned that way. That's the way it is, so now we gotta work and see what we wanna do.
Okay, because I know we talked about a buffer, but you guys have all been down there when the dump was being burned. And I'm just wondering what kind of park are we going to have that's going to utilize.
Very good copy.
I mean, I'm
Better one.
just throwing out things I've looked at this going, okay,
I think that's probably why they zoned it that way with the future land use map.
so that there was some type of a.
I don't know if there was a vision
Yeah.
of some sort.
No, they just want, I think when they did it, I mean, this was 2018. That was viewed as a buffer between the dump and. Okay, no.
Right, that's the only way to show it as a zone, right?
No, it's okay.
No, it's, all questions are allowed.
4,500, you've got it going all the way through. That's not a road, that's where it's.
No, it's the next block over.
Okay, so this really isn't 4,500?
It's the, you mean 2,500 north?
No, no, no. Now,
Oh.
on this side of the map where it says.
4,500 west?
Saying over by lot 1.
So that is legally
Deeded
something.
something.
It's an easement or right of way. But they're not tying into it.
Well, we'll tie into 2,500.
They'll come through 2,500, but not that. But that is a legal,
All these
Right
dotted
away.
lines, in fact, the whole thing is taken from the county borders. And so there is some sort of county or city easement or right-of-way that's already been dedicated. It's just not paved.
so there was,
No road
so I went and talked to, I can't remember who it was, but there is a right of way all the way across the bluff.
Really?
Oh, it was the Moise boys,
Oh, okay.
the Moise twins.
Yeah.
I call them twins.
Yeah,
but-
I was,
Yeah.
yeah.
So they're the ones that told me that, and I've never looked at it on the map, but yeah, sure enough,
Because
it's
I'm
all the way
like
across
going,
the bluff.
it ends right there,
Yes.
and then all of a sudden, it's the driveway to
Yeah.
Julie's house. So I'm like, is there really a road supposed to be there?
Yeah.
Yep.
We don't talk about Grape Corner.
Okay, yeah, all right, okay. I'm
That's
like,
that's
okay,
like the Fight Club.
thanks, I'm like going, there
Yeah.
seems to be a road
That's like
here,
the
but
Fight
there
Club,
really
okay?
is not a road there. Okay,
That was all done years ago.
well, I live on 4,500, and I'm like, I can't go through that road, there's
Yeah,
people
no, you
that
Okay.
live there. Okay,
So,
There is a right of way.
so do we want to park there?
I think that is for discussion sometime,
Okay.
but as per the plan we put together 7.5 years ago,
We
That's
s-
correct.
we owe that.
We
to
certainly don't want homes there.
Right?
Right, we
Right.
do not want homes there
Exactly.
because of that very,
But I don't think a park of that size, a park of any size, is going to reduce the smell.
It's not, and I think
It's
that
not.
our buffer was more or less for, sound and just dust a little bit, whatever it might have been.
Okay?
Because you can't deny this from being built on,
Right,
right?
right.
And so, they know darn well, when they go and look at a lot, they're gonna be right there by the damn sewer plant.
People aren't gonna know that. People from Plain City will know that.
Well, they're
But
gonna
I
see a
mean-
landfill, and they're gonna see,
and they're gonna smell it.
even peek at a map, they're gonna see it or they're gonna smell it.
We can also require it on the plat, right?
Truth.
So
Yeah,
that,
you could
so that-
require a note on the plat, absolutely.
yeah, so that any
What's
realtor
there?
coming in or builder would understand.
Within a quarter-mile of the Plain City Sewer Treatment Facility, you're within 800 feet of the Plain City landfill and whatnot, so. And we burn the green, or the branch pile once a year,
Right.
and so.
And there's not
we
like
have a lot of
food
fire.
in there.
Have a lot of,
We knew if the fire trucks were heading west, they were heading west, because somebody dumped a hot burn barrel, right? But that doesn't happen anymore, so really there's one fire a year down there when we burn the green.
You just
From the
jinxed it,
branches,
Mr.
but-
Mayor.
Huh?
You just jinxed it.
I might have, but
No,
that was back in the burn barrel days
Yeah.
too, so.
that is truth. That is,
I have a
think
quick,
I just aged all of us.
wanna throw things out there like
I still feel young.
people that go to another subdivision out on North Plain City Road, and then they're complaining that, their basements are flooding. Their ground.
Exactly.
I'm just saying, no one looks.
Yeah, like, we
They
should,
just think,
we
"Oh,
should
that's a
make a
nice
note
house."
that you are in a floodplain, right?
Exactly.
On this
No
one, we should.
basements, there's no basements.
Oh, yeah.
No, but
Well,
I'm just
yeah,
saying,
no,
they're
we're just
crawl
talking
space in
other-
other
Yeah.
subdivisions.
She's talking another,
But honestly, I'm all for lots of notes on plats because they really protect us too.
They
They
do.
100% do. I have one, hey, houses can't be lower than this elevation because this is a water table or
Right.
whatever. Notes on plats don't bother us at all,
Well-
but you're 100% right.
I realize that the future land map says that we need to have a park there. And I realize that you want to have more lots. In my opinion, I would like to have the lot sizes at still 18.5.
Okay, so after our last discussion, I called Brandon, and we had a long discussion about building to our future land use map
Yeah.
and the ordinance.
Okay?
Brandon, do you want to surmise for everybody our discussion on that?
I can. I think what you're getting at is how we're kind of getting back to the discussion of whether this is a taking or not, but I think we've already established that you're willing to work with the city on it. I have something to add, if that helps,
Yeah.
Mayor. Just based on what you've brought to us today, it looks like you have complied to the future land use map. Where the park is located is exactly where the future land use map contemplates parks, recreation, and open space. So the subdivision essentially would comply with the future land use map, but because your lots have to be smaller, that's why we have the residential overlay zone. Now, with that being said, it looks like you've also complied with all the minimum requirements of the residential overlay zone. So you're
Not
with-
true. Sorry, it's not true.
Okay, tell me where.
The park is 20% and 33% is required.
So that is true, but it's an or. It's an exceptional, we're talking either an exceptional amenity or 33%. And so that's something that we have talked about with this park. Are we gonna deem it as an exceptional amenity depending on what the park's going to be? And we talked about this
Can
in
you
the
show
city.
me where the word "or" is in
Yeah,
that?
of course. So the subdivision provides an exceptional amenity or amenities that are made available to the public, or provides developed open space comprised of 33% of the proposed development. So 3 options there.
An exceptional amenity.
Yep, and that's within the, there's obviously not a definition of an exceptional amenity, but if, I mean, that's where we're trying to discuss.
Council, remember? We're gonna go in and define what that word, amenity,
Amenity.
right?
Yeah.
What are we looking at? What are we looking for, right?
And so you might also counterbalance the exceptional nature of the amenity with the lot sizes being larger than what the typical maximum would be. Hold on, I want to make sure I'm making the right word. 7,000 square feet is the minimum lot size, where you're proposing 17,000 square feet.
15.
Yeah. 15 now? Okay.
So it's zoned 18.5.
Right.
But with the overlay that we would have to approve.
Gotcha. 15,000 square feet, 90-foot minimum width. So you're obviously not hitting the minimum sizes that the overlay zone would otherwise permit, but this is still within the city's discretion to kind of balance those out. You know,
Yeah.
larger lot sizes as a, in balance with the proposed park. Does that make an exceptional
Yeah,
amendment?
100%. And I want to point out that if we took from the council's suggestion, hey, don't go under 15, which we also, I don't want to say it's a coincidence, we stuck with that, but we also with this, we're really just trying to, and that's why we drew up the other map, to show how many lots we would have gotten. So it's just, I want to say happy coincidence that that shrinking the lots down to the 15, or plus or minus, because some of these are larger to 15, also made us whole on the, I think it was 20 some odd lots that we would have gotten in that 17 acres.
18.
Does that make sense? Is it 18 lots?
It's 18, I can't
18 lots that we would
I
have
mean,
gotten.
I know you like to include that, but no matter what, if you do an overlay, you have open space. So it's really unfair to say you would have gotten extra lots. You can
But
go to
we-
your 18.5
But we would
and
have
you get
gotten a
one
third
extra lot.
extra lots.
But you what?
The code allows for a whole third more, so we should have gotten 80 extra lots, and we're only asking for 18.
I don't see how
The
that's
overlay
figured
allows
in.
for a bonus of a third.
The other thing, though, is you have a strip of homes here that's 20, and you can't have more than 12.
Can have more
On
than-
the road.
Without a break, yeah.
Pardon me?
Without a
On
break.
2,500.
break.
Isn't it 11 homes?
12.
12.
And you're going
Where
So
are we?
you'll need,
Where are you
one
looking?
more side street right here.
between 9 and
So you
28.
got one here, you could move that down and split that.
If you split one between,
This one between 35.
Yeah, but don't make it straight across.
Huh?
I don't like them straight across, because if you jog them,
Put on an angle?
then, yeah, not an angle, but just down a couple houses, and then people don't speed through it.
You can only have a maximum of 12 homes. I thought it was 11, but it's 12.
9 to 28.
You've got
So
20
this-
there in a row.
Sorry, I'm looking at the old one.
Either one, both of them have it.
Yeah. So, but anyway,
well, Mayor,
before we get that far, let's see if we're even gonna
Yeah,
get
so
that
just
far.
split your
Uh,
stuff.
get this tension
But
here.
you have is it 20 lots on between block, it's a 20 lot block.
It's a minimum 12,
Maximum.
and maximum 12, and you've got 20.
You need 2 stub roads no matter what.
Lot block. So it's not a distance, it's a lot number. So you have a maximum of 12 lots per block.
It's
Yes.
12 lots or 1,200 feet, whichever is
Okay.
less.
And counting that, we'd go down,
Couple of those. Pardon
it
me?
would, if we count down, you can come down to where, Penny Barnes, she kind of indicated to me that she'd like to also have an access road into her property. You did it for her sister Judy, there, and you did it across the road for the Marriott property.
The problem is 12 is at number 20, and so it,
Well, if you just on the border right there, you'd have to go a half of
Yeah.
21.
however you
20.
do, as long as there's only 12. The other thing I'm getting tripped up on is on B.
Right
This
here,
whole overlay is established to promote development of pathways. This whole thing was to keep our trail system going, and I don't see anything on here that's promoting a trail.
This is just a 10,000, I mean, we're not even sure if the city's gonna.
Well, I'm
A
just,
little ways down the road, but I'll put that note that
I'm just saying, if you're gonna come to us with a proposal, it should include that, because that's the whole reason for this overlay.
It's, I mean, right here in our purpose and intent, right?
Yes,
To include the preservation of open space and the developments of parks, trails, and other open spaces.
And I understand where you're looking. I actually looked at that earlier to make sure we were still within that established purpose. I think you can make it work if you take a look at the future land use map, and towards the top, we've got this kind of a,
is that part of the trail?
yeah,
map?
it's the trail system. It's going along the canal there. This park would be a connection point to that overall, not this park, but this park plus the northern open space above it would be a connection point to that canal road.
Oh, to the rail trail.
The rail trail, yeah, so that's where I think it fits, as between this subdivision and the rail trail, we wanna have people be able to walk there through a park. And that's why the future land use map shows.
so kind of
it's
up
right
there
here.
on our far northwest corner, does that,
Yeah, right here.
yeah, but I'm saying that road,
Yeah. That's the rail trail.
yeah,
This is the park here.
yeah.
Essentially, if this becomes a park, and because it becomes a park, it is going to eventually extend up to that trail. So if we keep true to the future land use map, it does fit as.
I think that's a real stretch to say that park connects to the rail trail, sorry.
But I do think this is meant
Nonetheless,
to
it's still to
be,
preserve open space.
Yeah.
I think it's meant to be an open space along the trail. So again, it's up to the city to decide if they want that to fit, but I think that is an arguable application of that section.
Yeah,
One comment I have.
we're gonna lose our trails.
A little bit of heartburn with, being fed the line take. This green space was set up years and years and years ago, and nobody from the Weininger family has come to argue that point. So it's been something that's been accepted for many, many years. I don't know how long. But then on top of that, because the term take was used, you guys counted up 153 homes and saying that we could have used that except for the take. Oops. That's not the case, because I don't see this as a take, because nobody came and argued that point, and they just left that alone and said that's green space, that's a buffer. So the way I count it is there should be 24 less homes available, or, yeah, 24 less homes available on this old map than the 153. So to be able to force or push 153 on this smaller with the park, I mean, I don't love the idea. The green space, the park, whatever you want to call it, would have to be very exceptional for it to even fly in my mind. Because the way I see it is, should be 24 less homes than what is mapped out here.
What if instead of a park, it was
Exceptional.
a rec center? John's shaking his head. Hey, look, I'm spitballing here. It's on my mind.
Well, that would be exceptional.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think a park with a Bowery and pickleball courts is exceptional. Sorry, it's gotta be something.
So that's what I'm saying, is we've been, I mean, having participated on the steering committee for the rec center, looking for a spot for it. It's the least obtrusive, at least, but it is very, for what they want for the rec center too, that maybe won't work. So,
That's a discussion for another day.
Yeah.
sure. But what I'm saying, for a use, maybe instead of a park, we can find another use.
Oh, you bet, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that'll all come through the planning and development
Right.
process, right? That's where any exceptional amenities are gonna come to fruition, right?
Right.
Just through that process. To work on that now is not really.
Nope, not.
The point of this meeting is to decide, do we like the 15 with the park? Do we like the 18.5? Do we stick with Jed and Jan's idea of, and what Brandon has told us is probably legal, is that where this has not been contested, since it's been on a future land use map, in any length of time.
It's not included as part of the open space requirements for the.
Exactly.
That was, I wanted that clarification. When we did the rezone, did it include that little, the park area? Then I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm sure it was included in the rezone.
So it's 18.5 now?
I don't think it was.
Not the park.
Thank you.
Everything's-
Yeah.
That was my clarification.
The north 17 acres is zoned,
I don't think we would have approved it because it wasn't on the
and
future
everything
land use
south of that line is zoned
But we don't have a
18.5.
zone for open space park.
We
That
do,
was part of the parcel, we zoned it for 18.5, but it's still, future land use map has been, it's been inked for years. It doesn't change what the use is, right?
right, but it was not included in the 18.5 zone on the future land use map. It was included as open space on the future land use.
Correct. So I guess, yes, you're probably right, it would have negated the rezone of that 17 acres or whatever it is.
Right.
Right? So, but technically, if that was part of the, you know, that parcel, it got rezoned 18.5. Our map dictates that it's open space.
We would never have, we would not have agreed to that because it was not on the future land use map. And you're saying it was not.
We would never have agreed
My
to rezone
application-
the
We would
park.
never have agreed to a zone, to rezone the park, the open space area to 18.5.
I don't think
Because
you
we
would.
stick to that
Not
land.
what we asked.
Okay,
What we
Okay.
asked was just to meet the general plan. The application said 18.5 and open space.
And it
or
listed
park, whatever.
parcels.
And our understanding, I thought that the 17 acres has been rezoned to open space/park. Maybe that's not true, but
We don't have that
we
zone.
don't really.
So on the future land use, it's zoned this dark green area. It's
The
park,
dark green.
recreation, and open space.
Yeah, but that's not a zone.
I know, I don't, right.
There's a, where's the thing with
But
the
what
zone?
is
That-
We're talking the same thing, we're just,
It's not a zone.
it's
But
not a
there's-
zone.
So
There's
you're
not
saying it's
zones on
still
the
zoned
future.
ag.
Zoning.
There's no
Still
zone.
zoned ag.
I would say it
No.
probably was lumped in with
The
that.
map shows it 18.5.
Thank
It
you.
is, yes.
It's a plat number.
The green-
Because we used the
It wasn't a
property
split.
description for
For
the
the
whole
whole
Reininger property,
property.
and that went as 18.5. Whether it should have been, I don't know.
There was a-
That's how,
There's a tax
It came
ID
to
number
us.
that we approved.
Well, we should have been more
But-
careful.
But it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter what it's zoned,
No.
because that is not the open space is not a zoning in our ordinances.
It says on here, this land use category is for
It's a
both
land
passive.
use, not an
Thank you. Okay, land use.
Yeah, so it's still that land use. It still has that stamp on it, right? On the future land use map, but it's just not a zoning.
Right.
So that parcel number will get rezoned, but we just keep that as per the future land use map, right? That's our discretion as the city, is what we do with that. Do we make them put something on it? But if they go 18.5, technically, and Brandon said there's some case backing, there's some case law backing it, that we should acquire that and do 18.5. It wouldn't be a take, it would be an understanding that, yes, this was stamped and approved how many years ago? 7.5 at least. It could have been on there from the future land use map prior, and it was never contested by the landowner. So now the land's changing hands, and these guys are saying, well, we want to change that use. Well,
Essentially, it cannot be a taking if you bought into what it was already future approved as. You bought into property that would, in the future, designate that northern part as open space.
Now, I should
That's
also
why it's
say
not a
that
take.
the future land use plan is not a, I mean, we,
oh, it's
No.
biblical.
it's,
Let's not go down
but
this
the
road.
commission, the
Subdivision
commission
are
or the
subject to
council
the general
can go against the future land use plan if they have good reason. So, but never in the history of plan, of my experience in plan commission have we gone against what the general plan says. So,
Since we got the new one, we have not deterred from the plan. Unlike Weaver County that uses it as a suggestion.
it's more of a guideline than a code.
It's like pirate laws.
It's like the pirate code. Okay.
So you're saying if the city hypothetically zoned the entire city, parks and open space, they could take everybody's property? That doesn't make sense.
No. So you go through the legislative process, you go through public hearings as well, and So it becomes a taking when someone owns the property and they have it slated for residential. Like, let's just say someone subdivided their property to 18,000-foot lots, and then you rezone it to say it can't be 18,000-foot lots, that would be a taking. If it's undeveloped land as agriculture land, and then you put in the future land use map, when this gets developed out, we want to preserve this portion, and we go through the legislative process, we go through public hearing, nobody contests it, then it becomes the vested zoning for that property. When it comes to subdivision, so.
I get that part. I'm talking about, that doesn't mean that the property owner gives it to the city, right?
No, it doesn't mean the property owner gives it to the city. It's not the city's land. It's just how that land is going to be used. And it's already not being used for residential purposes. So the city's not taking any value away from it by saying this is gonna be a park. In fact, going from undeveloped to park adds value to the property. It's when the city takes value away from the current value of the property that it can be considered a taking. So where you're proposing to develop property into a certain subdivision, it's not even that right now, but this has been in place to say it will be increased in value to a park someday. Just because you want to make it a mall or a residential subdivision or an industrial park or whatever, doesn't mean that the city has taken it from you by saying we don't want it to be that. It's the same reason why you can say, this area, we don't want shooting ranges, but we want them out there. So someone who says, well, I wanted a shooting range, so you've taken a shooting range from me, that's not valid because you weren't building a shooting range at the time and you didn't have one there at the time that the law was passed. So people need to have notice as they buy property that the value is going to diminish. But someone who owns property that's undeveloped and then the zoning changes, that doesn't decrease the value of that property as it is, not a taking. Am I making sense? I'm trying to say, you can't pull the rug out from developing property, but you can change future use of property that is as it is, that's undeveloped as it is now.
If we went through the next land use map change and painted the city green, everybody and their dog would be standing on the front steps of City Hall.
I get all that.
Right? So,
Yeah.
and we're not gonna do that. We're not,
Right.
that's not our
It's
intent, right?
hypothetical to try and get.
No, the reason for that being there is pretty self-explanatory for
Right.
everyone who's been there.
Yeah.
So
Right, that's what I'm saying. So the city wants it to be that way. We want it.
So am I understanding that even if we just stick with the 18.5 zone, that will still remain open space? Okay.
Yeah, they can maintain ownership of it.
that's what I was getting at, yeah.
Needs to be undeveloped, needs to be,
It needs to be the buffer that
it
we
needs to be a
intended.
buffer.
It'd have to be rezoned back to ag.
No?
Nope, it's not a zone.
Ag is a
No.
zone.
So, it doesn't need to be rezoned to ag. Because it's a designated buffer as per the future land use map.
Okay, so I agree that cities and this, I'm not gonna use the proper terms, 'cause I don't know exactly how they are. Cities have the right to regulate land use through zoning ordinance, right? Obviously, if your neighbor's property is zoned commercial and yours is zoned, industrial or something, it's not a taking. You guys have that right? I get that. In Morgan, I mean, half of it's zoned forestry, just because the guy on the mountains is zoned forest and this guy's down here is zoned high-density residential, that's not a taking. My understanding of a taking, and it's a regulatory taking, is, and it doesn't matter if it was on the general plan or whatever, it's when the city's ordinance, whether it be old or new or proposed of what it's gonna be in the future, if the city's ordinance essentially takes any economic value or reduces any plausible economic value of the property. I would agree if, say, the southern half was zoned residential and the northern half was zoned, let's call the southern half was where you have two zones where one is actually usable, like
a commercial and an industrial, or an A2 and an an R1 and an R2, those both have economic value, but open space has no economic value. And we already talked to the ombudsman, and he agrees that in this case, where it's in this particular property, because your ordinance, there is no ordinance, but because it's
Future land use.
it's open space, there's no economic value, and that's been designated by the city, so that's a regulatory taking. So you would have to rezone it back to ag and leave it as ag.
Are you saying it's because we zoned it to the 5 lots that now it
No,
is?
because I didn't even know that, and I'm still not sure that's the case, but we never intended that to be 18.5, and that wasn't even what was on the application. The point is this particular zone, in this one instance, your open space / park zone has absolutely no economic value to the landowner, and that is a regulatory taking.
Have you ever talked to a park district that tries to buy park area?
Park district? Yeah, actually, we've
Or
developed.
any
in
city that has
California
tried to,
where that happens all the time.
and how much does it cost for a city to buy a park?
Well, I can tell you different ways they do it, and
And it's kind of rhetorical. What I mean is, parks are not nothing. They have value
to
to
the landowner. They have value to a city or the community at large, but to the landowner, there's not. So as if I was a city council, and California does this, and I'm from
It's a
East
bad
Layton, so
example.
I'm not saying, I think this is a fantastic idea. Every single developer that comes in to develop a piece of property, whether it be a half acre or 50 acres or 100 acres, they have an ordinance that a percentage, do you remember what the percentage is for park? That a percentage of land has to be for park. But obviously cities don't want a tiny fraction of a park in a 2-acre. So they say, well, it's a fee in lieu of. So they do an appraisal on your land and say your land is worth $1 million, you own 0.01%, you have to pay us a in lieu of fee. And the city gets a kitty of a lot of money, after all these developments go through. And then when they find, hey, we want a nice big water park here or whatever, they take all that money that they've been collecting in a kitty and buy, I want to say something like this, but a piece of park. I think it's a fantastic way, because then you're not, and then there's still technically park fees on top of that for building permits. In general, though, in a case like this, the process is you get an appraisal, just the same as UDOT taking land.
Yeah, I am willing, obviously, to work the legal part of it out. I think that's something that I'm happy to include the property rights ombudsman.
I'm not trying to argue. I'm saying I believe it's a regulatory taking. Our attorney did, and the ombudsman did, in this case because of park. If it was rezoned, if it's rezoned back to ag, or assuming it might still be ag, then that's not, right? Because that hasn't changed it. And it wouldn't be a taking if it's rezoned back to ag. That's exactly what I was told, but.
Sure, and that's fair, but, the property rights ombudsman hasn't heard from me either. So I think I understand you're trying to pull the weight of state authority in. I think what we can do, if you want to keep entertaining this, is we can work this out of a work session.
Well, I'm not trying to
Because that
go there.
doesn't have to be
I'm just-
publicly noticed or record. We can just work it out and then come back to the city officials on a legal solution that we would agree on. I just don't want to hang up the whole city council and the planning commission on whether you think this is even legal in the first place.
I didn't assume that you would. I was just
Okay.
giving our opinion of why we believe it's a taking, and you guys have your opinion of why it's not, and that's fine. And we didn't even want to go there. I actually said, Kent, should I bring that up? And he said, I probably wouldn't, because we're not trying to have animosity. We're happy to give you the park.
Yeah.
We just, I mean, and then you're talking exceptional amenities, but don't really want to give us what we need in order to make it financially. I mean, we're only asking for 18 more lots than if we just don't do it at all and leave it open space.
But we as a city aren't in the business of making you profitable. So I just want to make that clear. Yeah.
So the message I'm getting is, okay, we will reduce our subdivision by 18 lots,
Yeah, that's the question we gotta ask ourselves.
and we'll keep the land and the city doesn't get the park.
That's all.
So
That's
when,
our other option.
when you approached, the Weinigers with an offer, did you look at the future land use map and see that buffer? And
We
make
knew
an
that.
offer
We did our
accordingly?
homework.
And make an offer accordingly?
Well, we
Because
Made
that
an-
would be, homework on your side to see that, okay, look, there's something here. This land may not be able to be developed, and X amount of lots may be eliminated, so our offer's gotta reflect that, right?
Yeah. We obviously, when we gave Weinigers near what they were asking, and we knew that this parcel was there, and we also knew that we had the opportunity of either of chapter 20 or chapter 7. We didn't know at that time, in the first meeting, it became somewhat apparent that, hey, you're not gonna get the
Yeah.
extra 80 lots. So we're proposing,
And we're not asking for 18 lots, we're asking
No.
for 18 lots,
18.
that's it.
yeah,
And
I-
instead of 18.5, you want to go to 17.
15.
I really don't want any animosity. We're proposing a residential overlay where the city gets essentially almost $1 million, I'd have to go
1.4 million.
worth of land, and we get 20 lots. Which is the same number of lots that would have gone on there.
So the city just doesn't have to purchase that land.
No,
Well, that's what I was gonna say, that's
If
what
they
we
go to
decide,
15,000.
if you want the property for, I don't care what we do with it,
Mhm.
park, rec center, whatever. If you want it in a deal now to negotiate with the developer, we have to decide that now, right?
And according to our
When they go
ordinance,
18.5, like a few of us are saying we want, we get to buy that land 5, 10, 15, 1,000 years from now at the market value.
Right.
So we gotta decide, is it something we're going to want?
and
Or we
according
let-
to the ordinance, it's either amenities or it's more open space. I mean, you can choose if you don't want to develop, then we get 33% open space instead of 20. But otherwise, one of the ors is an exceptional amenity.
I agree. Are you gonna give us the third bonus?
That's not part of the ordinance. The ordinance is, there's 3, which Brandon helped me understand tonight. There's 3 things that you have.
3 options?
Yes, and one of them is 33% open space, one is exceptional amenity, and I gotta find the other one.
Got it marked too. But I'm on a different page.
It's 2 options, but the one is either one exceptional amenity or amenity.
amenities.
Yeah, just multiple.
Okay, or 33%.
Yeah.
So if you don't want to build amenities, then there has to be more open space, if that's what we want to agree to.
Okay, I understand this is all discretionary, 100%. And I understand that what the code is asking, and I'm asking if we, assuming that the city is open to the overlay zone, and they say, okay, well, we just want the 33% of the land. Or, yes, we want the exceptional amenity with a auditorium or the Staples Center, whatever. What is our remuneration? Does that make sense? You don't want to give us anything. You still want us to give you the 33%.
No, we're
and/or-
giving you higher density, and in return, you're giving us an exceptional amenity. That's the way the overlay works.
And it
100% agree.
It does say it's deemed as acceptable by the commission and city council as well.
Yeah, it's discretionary. We know we can't.
So if you present something, we can say this isn't acceptable. Right?
So.
Does that, okay?
So I know this meeting is to kind of get a feel for what we would want and what you would get. I understand all of that, but this is where we're coming from. Like, right now, everything is in your favor.
Well, it's really not. We're giving you $1.4 million worth of property, and we're asking 18 lots in return.
I don't understand how you think it's only 18 lots. Even your drawing is 152 to 153.
They're maintaining, they lose one lot out of the 158, if they did the 18, or 153, right? So they. Yes. If they stayed with 18.5, they get 153. If they
Or
give us
really
a
152, because you got to put a road in, right?
Okay, so
Yeah.
maybe, let's just stick with the plan.
Okay.
So 153 at 18.5. If we do the overlay and let them go to 1,500 square foot lots, they go to 152. So all they do is maintain their number minus one, right? We're not,
The dispute is in whether we keep the open space if they stay at 18.5,
Right?
right?
we'll get it if we go to the 1,500. That's what they're saying. They'll just,
But aren't we talking about the fact that that's already been indicated as open space, whether or not,
yes.
Yes.
That's what we're saying through legal, right?
but you're gonna have to work out? Okay.
Yes.
They can maintain ownership of that property as long as they would like. We don't have to buy it. It just has to maintain the status of buffer zone.
Okay, so now get to where the 18 extra lots are. And that would be developing the park area, the open space area with 18 more homes?
No, that would give them the 153 at 18.5.
That's it.
Yes.
So it's this.
You got the two different maps.
I got the two.
I think we're getting too confused.
Yeah.
Honestly, they can throw away.
Because I don't think that one's what, yeah, that one's not.
So
I
it's a
agree with
matter
Jed
of
on that.
3,500 square foot on a lot. Do we want to go through a fight, or do we want to go to 1,500 and get the 17 acres? I'm down for either.
I think what it really comes down to
I am.
is.
I know.
I think
No,
what
I
it
really
really comes down to,
Mention Fight Club.
the
Or,
city gets the property for, I'm gonna say free, right now, or they have to buy it someday in the future.
Well, free.
Well, we get
Concession of
18
18
lots,
lots.
with the concession of 18 lots. So we're,
Which
yeah,
to us,
that's,
that ain't
we're asking
free.
for a concession of 18 lots, which is how many lots we would have gotten. It wasn't just a random number, that's how many lots happened to be in that parking, in that open space, that 17
To me, I go
acres.
back to what Jed said, that was always future land used as park, so I don't.
I feel like that battle needs to be fought, yeah.
And that's fine, whether you view it as taking or not, and that's a harsh word, but this still comes down to, okay, if we maintain ownership and we don't argue taking or whatever, which we have no intention to do, right? Then someday the city buys it.
If we want it, I'm not sure that we want that piece of property.
Well, that's why I said, we need to understand.
Right. Because if we don't buy that,
But either way, you get the buffer.
right.
Do we
Like
either,
a rec center, now it adds value.
So I'm sorry to bring this up. So if they were to bring us this as a proposal, I don't think we can approve this because those,
That's
That
what-
wasn't
I
the
know- I know.
proposal. This was never the proposal.
I understand that.
Okay, sorry.
I understand. If you were, you're saying that if you brought us this meets the 18.5 and all the limits, but we couldn't still approve it because these top are in in an area that's designated for Parks and Rec.
Right.
So this doesn't, so these 18 extra lots, that's not being given to us. This already is not,
Correct.
that's
No,
not
why
valid.
I'm not even looking at that plan.
Okay,
Correct.
so that's not valid.
That is trash.
Okay. And this one has been moved down and we're
I won't even show
600
it.
minimums on
Okay.
it.
don't do it.
I won't.
They're gonna get 151.
So we'll probably get 151.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get 150 because at the end of that road at the park,
It
open
looks like there's
space,
two that have
there's
that
12 houses there, and there's gonna have to be a stub road into that neighboring
We might
property.
lose,
Yeah,
so
right
we
here.
might only get 16.
Somewhere there's gonna
That's
have
where
to
I'd
be
put
a
the parking lot.
stub road in there.
The park, does it
Need a
have
parking
to
lot.
be that big? according to the future land use?
So that's what the future land use map plays out.
Is that this?
Is this, yeah, it goes right along that
dimensions?
property line.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right there with Gunderson's,
Yes,
or well, Marriott's
Yeah.
Field, right? That's where
Uh-huh.
that line on your future land use map lines up with.
gotcha.
Well, it's right in line with the road going west,
It's kind of bold.
going into
yeah.
Weininger's place, so,
Okay.
yeah.
So,
That's the future land use map. But that's why we,
So that's why it's the size
that's
it
why
is.
it's there.
To answer your question now, we can shrink it, just like.
I know, because I'm sitting there looking at it going, okay, is this the size? Because do we really need that much for a buffer? Or a park or open space?
So if we were to shrink that,
We'd have to.
right, then I would,
Thing we've never done.
then I would suspect that we would have a appraisal done on the ground that we let them develop, and they would have to do either exceptional amenities with that money, or give us money for a kitty,
Gotcha.
right?
Mhm.
So, which I brought that up to them, they're like, why would we give you the land and then give you money for it?
Yeah,
Which,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Which I understand
I
that,
get
but
it too,
yet, according to the
but-
ordinance, that's basically what you would need to do.
Well, they'd be adding lots, so that's why, right?
Yeah.
Because
And,
Well, that's what I'm saying, for every lot
No,
that
I
we.
know you are,
yeah.
but you said they said.
and would the city be doing whatever this open space entity, we'd be developing that as the city, or would the developer do it?
Depends on how we work it all out in the end, right?
Right?
That's all to be discussed in work meetings with the
Because
developer.
if we're given that land and it's like I'm kind of expressing some opinion. If we're given that land and we're being told, you know, this is our land, we're in charge of it, then I don't think that's part of the residential overlay open space then.
It's not, it's for them to develop it.
Yeah, because that, to me,
Preserve open space.
yes.
So we would be preserving it.
But we would be doing that. I mean, I feel like then it's a lose-lose situation for us.
Well, like I said, if we shrunk it, then yes, we would ask for amenities or.
But that's part of the general regulations. They provide an exceptional amenity or amenities, or provides developed open space comprised of 33% of the proposed development.
Yeah, and it says provides. So that to me says the developer is to do it.
Yes, and they're willing to do that at 15.
I don't think
Okay.
any of it is just leave the field open.
That's what I mean. I don't,
Willing to do that at 18.5. So
Right.
that's the discrepancy, right? So we either say, Brandon, work this out legal-wise at the 18.5, or we say, yeah, we kinda like this 1,500 square foot layout, and we get the buffer zone, and we roll with it, right?
yeah, because we're,
And the
at this
amenities.
point,
Buffer zone, give them some more lots.
Right.
And have them do amenities.
at this point, we're conceding a smaller lot sizes, and they're conceding the open space.
Correct.
Okay, yeah,
They're
that's the
gonna
way
Yeah.
They're gonna
I wanna
lose
see it
2 or
done.
3 lots.
What I don't wanna see happen is us being in charge of putting whatever's there, you know?
Well, we,
Yeah, that
Well-
wouldn't be considered acceptable.
Because that's not a concession to me. No. Yeah.
It's not
that's-
even average.
Yeah.
and who's to say that anything's gotta be there? Right? Like, that could just be a field that gets mowed and 3 times a year to keep it short, right? Just to keep the buffer zone.
I don't feel like that meets the ordinance, but,
The intent of the ordinance to me.
It's preserving
That's,
open space
yeah,
but it says that
for future use, right? We could do whatever 20 years from now, somebody could have a
no,
phenomenal
because
idea
it
and-
says the subdivision provides an exceptional amenity or amenities, or
Yeah.
provides
We don't have to work that out today.
developed open space. I don't think the field,
We're not working that out today. If you
but I
wanna go
would
the
really like to
For the
know.
overlay route, we look at the 1,500
Reserves.
square foot lot route. If
Okay.
not, we say, Brandon, go to work.
I have written a memo I'm happy to share with you guys on the legal authorities that I relied on to justify the subdivision being subject to the future land use map. I can share that with you.
Listen, we're not gonna
It's-
go there. That
okay.
wasn't the point at all.
Yep.
You can send it to me, but we're not gonna go there. And I think,
That's fair.
and I might be speaking out of turn, because I'm not the boss, we believe that, hey, you guys get an exceptional amenity, the developer gets something in return.
Which
some
is
sort of remuneration.
smaller
That's the whole
We get
point.
that. And ma'am, I'm sorry, you were right. It doesn't say 30%. It just goes from roughly 2 units per acre to 3 units per acre. So that's 33% in my mind. So where we're reading it as we give you an exceptional amenity, we get enough lots back from the county to pay for that exceptional amenity and to make it worthwhile. And anything really more than where we're at, we're honestly, I think, better just stick it, because we're right there
Yeah,
already.
Because just based on what we're paying Weinigers, okay, we're giving you $1.4 million, okay? And what we're getting out of those 16 or 18 lots, okay, is only 900,000. So we're losing $500,000 by giving you the park.
I totally get it. I think that that's what you should consider when you're applying for an overlay, is if it makes sense. Because again, as Jared said, we don't necessarily care how it comes out money-wise. We're just saying, if you want to use the overlay, these are the conditions. And if not, stick to whatever the land is zoned.
Hey, I'm sorry, I have to go. Shelley had major surgery today, so
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
tell
I
her,
probably need to go.
okay.
I appreciate
But thank
it.
you.
Thank you
Yeah.
for coming.
Tell her,
So I think we
Well-
get the general gist.
And I left my phone home, so
Let's
I'm
just
sitting
put
here
it
panicking.
as straight and basic as possible. We are proposing I don't wanna use, I don't know if proposing is the right word to use in this work session. We're proposing this white map. We give the city, deed the city the 17 acres of parkland, and we reduce our density from the 18.5 to the 15, and mathematically, it happens to be 18 lots.
Well, we'll probably lose 2 more.
this right here.
Yeah.
Because of the
16 lots.
12 as
So-
opposed to 20.
We don't, sorry, Jeff.
No, go
I
ahead.
don't think, I mean, we could probably grass, I don't know, where are you at on that? But because we're not getting that, 80 extra lots, and that's that where we go from 2 per acre to 3 per acre, and we're only at a quarter of that, we feel like it meets the overlay code, and it just, the math works for both of us. Math works for both of us. You're getting land that's equal to roughly the value of what we're getting in the 18 lots. And I'm just gonna be as blunt as possible. If that doesn't work, and, we hate to go and spend, $100,000 on drawings, and then when the city comes back and says, well, we need something exceptional and put in there, like a riding arena or something, we rather just know that now if it's gonna be a no-go, and if we have to give you more than this, and we'll just, do you agree?
Yeah, because we're already losing about 500,000, so we couldn't go spend another 800 to a million, putting in a bunch of amenities.
Go ahead,
So
I'm
that's
sorry.
my next question, is when all of us over here are talking about this the 17 acres and the amenities, we keep talking about exceptional, but every time you guys start talking about that property, we're giving you the land. So my question to you is, the land that you would be deeding, the 17 acres, do you see that as the exceptional part? Or are you planning on doing amenities as well?
We can do grass or something, and I don't wanna say exceptional, because it just doesn't cut it to, it's not subject just to exceptional, it's also, I'm sorry, I don't know exactly where it is in here, but you guys were reading it earlier.
It's on B, second page B.
So I guess what I'm saying is, is what you're offering to us the land and grass, is that what you see as the amenities.
That's
that's
in
the
return,
amenity, or.
that's what
yeah.
you're offering in return for higher density.
And I don't
Is a
That's-
field with
think
grass.
I don't think that's enough.
So my thought on this real quick is, I think that we're trying to meet the letter of the ordinance when it comes to exceptional and or the 33%, the ORs. But according to that, the letter of that ordinance, they would get 80 additional lots. And
18.
we're not giving them 80 additional lots, we're only giving them 18.
I don't know that it says in there that that's what they get. They come in knowing what their acreage is
Okay.
and knowing what the percentage is that they have to deed or the exceptional amenity. And then I don't think that that's a set number of lots.
I understand. So maybe we're off on the number. We could look into that further, but I don't think they're even looking into that because we're not interested in that. So what I'm saying is the maximum number of lots that they would be able to get according to the ordinance is more than what they're actually asking for. And they've complied with our
depends-
request to make it,
It depends on whether or not that open space is subject to
The line.
to staying what the land use map says.
okay, and so I think there is also a disagreement whether, you know, like, I think their valuation of the property, where they can't build on that anyway, is different in our opinion. However, they are offering to offer us that land. So if we want that land, we just need to decide, is it worth the density change to give them 16 additional lots for that land? Because if we're gonna want it in the future, we should take it now in exchange for the 16 additional lots. If we don't want that land, because it's gonna stay open anyway, because that's how it's, you know, that's how it's designated, then I would say that we just say no to them, because they have to leave that open anyway.
Right.
So if we want that for a future park, I don't know what that landfill is gonna be in the future either. We're starting to save up money for closing that landfill when that's closed in the future, and what is it, the sewer treatment?
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna get closed down anyway. Like, county
I
can't
mean,
wait
I've
to.
heard that, but when? Is it like soon? Do you
It's
guys know?
it's a long timeline, but we have to think about the future. Do we want that land in the future? Because it's only gonna get more expensive. So if we want it, we should exchange what we can now, and is 16 lots worth it? If it's not, then let's just tell them no, and we'll have them come with a different proposal. But if it's worth it to us to give away a little bit more density for them to put 16 more lots in exchange for that land, if we want that land, we should do it.
Now, that's, it's coming to you, council. You have the final say. We just recommend it to you. So that's,
It is ultimately in your
yeah,
hands.
that's all we do as a commission.
As
is-
I'm saying, as for me, I say you follow ordinances. I'll always stick to that.
And that's our job as a commission is. Sure. Right.
Yeah.
I myself think that, Rob, I would love to have that space, but I also think that just having a field that's got grass or a trail on it is not enough.
Not a huge benefit to the
Not a huge benefit, not enough of a benefit to the city to do smaller lots.
Okay, so,
I'm sorry, I don't. Yeah, absolutely.
then he's going to say, okay, well, then give me 30 lots.
Mm-hmm. Right, I understand.
I didn't follow, but you did.
Yeah, then follow the ordinance.
Well, that's right, and it's a negotiation.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah, where we're trying to get more for it, yeah.
But we could just say no, we can just say no entirely, and then they come in and give 18.5 for everything except for that part that's designated.
This doesn't work, okay?
Right.
I'm already losing 500,000, I can't turn around and give another 5.
We understand this is
Yeah.
entirely discretional, 100%. You guys can tell us no, fly a kite, you could have told us that before we walked through the door.
Okay, but for either plan, doesn't really matter which one it is, it has to have a road, and Jared's kind of indicated where one could go, we would satisfy
To the
two
Barnes property.
I
requirements.
got that note here, max 12 lot block, even if we're stuck to the 18.5 lot.
Yeah,
Either
so
way,
it
it's
doesn't
too
matter
low.
which one.
Probably
But the thing is, it satisfies two things. That property owner, Penny's access, which she would like, and that satisfies that breakup.
And you guys don't mind that offset road, huh?
I prefer it. I think it makes people slow down, yeah. Sorry.
Believe it or not, several cities don't allow
Lots do, yeah.
offset roads.
I'm not sure.
That's just something our engineer missed. I just want,
Where this road is, those two roads are only extending a block.
I know.
You're not gonna have much traffic, other than people accessing those properties.
Someday, though, you
It's
never,
future.
Somebody could park a boat there, I know.
I don't know, I didn't know, and it might be 20 years or 50 years, I have no idea, but I didn't know that any plans to shut down the dumps or the treatment plant. But, pardon me? And usually things take way longer than you even anticipate. I get that. If this land belongs to the city, when those are shut down, would you leave it as park? Or would you rezone it to 18,000? I mean, all the blue and green and stuff on your map?
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
This is
is-
what I'm getting at is you
Yeah.
guys get the land for free, you may be able to rezone it to 18,500 square foot lots in the future and triple your money.
We're talking decades, but in decades from now, that land might be valuable as residential lot when we no longer need a buffer there.
It will be valuable sometime.
That's what I'm saying, but we're talking decades, not years.
But it's a
But at the
buy-in
same
for 18
time,
lots.
it's gonna be a lot more expensive then too. So if we want that land, and I think this is a city council decision, whether we want that land or not, and how you guys wanna use it. For us, I think we
you
can meet
guys get
ordinance.
paid for the hard decisions.
Right, I mean, we can even deny the recommendation, we can even,
We can
Deny
recommend
it?
to deny, and you guys can
and
still.
that has happened, there's been some overturning on stuff too, so.
And we're not officially on any recommendation or denied.
No,
No,
we're
no, no.
not, no.
No, but
No, 100%
there's a
appreciate it.
I'm just saying, in my opinion, I think this can meet ordinance if this is what we want. If we want that piece
Sure.
of land owned by the city, and we're willing to give up that many lots for that piece of land, I think that we should do it now. But that's your decision, I would think. For us, as far as like meeting our ordinance, I think we can make it meet ordinance. That's usually what we deal with.
True. Rob is spot on.
And the ordinance would normally allow for many more lots with an exceptional amenity, whereas you are not asking for the,
Getting many more lots.
right, exact. So that's where we have that negotiation piece I think we're talking about. So essentially, if you're asking for a gross of 3 lots per acre total, then the exceptional amenity might need to be an arena
Exactly, thank you.
or a rec center.
Yeah.
But where you're just going slightly smaller than what normally would be there.
At saying rec center now, so. Throwing
We're all excited about
The
it now.
mayor's not here glaring at me.
Just for comparison's sake, does anybody know how big Pineview Park is or
I
Lee
wondered
Olson?
that too, for the square.
Just for
Hold on.
comparison. I know the square's not even small.
They're way smaller, both of them, I'm just like.
Let me pull up the
While we're looking that up,
GeoGizmo.
the frontage, that's gonna continue to be 100 feet, is that?
What?
Right.
The frontage is gonna be 100 feet, that's not changing.
No, it's 90 feet on the,
Is it 90?
Might
on
have
the
gone down to
15.
90. I think he did. We told
Okay.
him not to go less than.
Yeah, it is
It's-
huge, but that
it's
is
still
another
pretty good.
negotiation that that's another thing that we're giving up is the reduced frontage. We-
yes, true.
No, that's just half of it, so it's.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Jan, yeah,
It's got 3 different parts.
it's got 3 different parcels, and let's not go
The
there.
square is,
You can do the measure.
Yeah.
the square is only 4 acres? No way.
In itself is in
And the city only owns
How big was it?
1/4 of it.
You know, I'd heard when I used to work.
Yeah, 17 is large.
Jen, just so you
in
know,
the church where we're
Yeah, the church didn't want to.
Well, I know that they put pros
I,
in church
I went out,
numerous times.
I went out there and pasted off
Oh, you
for
did?
the church.
For him? Yeah.
Not for him, for the church.
Oh, Cersei.
And kinda, well, okay, what can we do there? So, you know, that was years and years and years ago.
Close to that.
this whole Plain City property here. So that's big.
So that's a huge buffer. Do we need to have that?
So, yeah, that's the question now.
Because I'm like going, if we cut that in half, they get, if we go back to 18.5, we cut the open space in half, then we got 9 acres still. Let them do additional lots. Get what they want at 18.5, then we get 18.5 like we were public hearing about, and we get a buffer with open space for the dumps,
So a little of both. You guys get,
For the what?
for the dumps.
It would just be a smaller,
is we get like
You get
like
additional
8
lots.
more
Yeah,
lots,
Yeah,
and you guys get
what we,
8, 6, 7.5 acres, something like that.
Yeah.
On 9 more acres, Right, is that? Yeah. So we'd keep
I mean,
9?
how do you feel about that? I'm not saying it would,
Let them do their little
a lot of it depends on
houses here. We still have.
Yeah,
up,
well, and,
Okay. Yeah,
And we
so,
still,
right.
that would work.
And Pioneer Park
Pioneer Park is,
is about 9 acres.
Thing is how much are we taking out if they create a park? Because we have to calculate our parking, like, all that's hard surface.
That's you
Not
just
really. So
essentially rough it.
it needs to,
We're allowed
I mean, we had to get
location of
still
preserving the future
on
land,
on that one park.
decide the appropriate size of that.
I mean, it took
All right, are we done?
telling them
I
to
think everybody's done.
consolidate.
And we can leave and still be friends. How about that?
No,
It sounds like you're gonna be proposing a couple more maps, proposed plats.
I think we just need a
Well,
little more information.
I don't know, it seems like it's kind of evolved from a hell no from everybody to a maybe.
I think that getting 17 acres from them, letting them put in 16 additional lots, I don't think the neighborhood's gonna look that different. And I think that would be a good deal for
But
the
how do
city.
you feel about that?
That's what we're proposing.
That's what they're proposing.
That's exactly
So-
what we're,
Well, because, and I know that map is out, like we shouldn't look at it, but that one filled the whole open space in, but you're willing to just do half.
yeah, I'm sorry, I'm gonna repeat. When we were at the city council last time, it was, hey, how many lots will you get if you use the whole property? And I think this was your proposal, actually. So just produce a map and tell us how many lots you
That's-
would have got?
That city council, they're just troublemakers.
No, yeah, so all we did was say, okay, we're getting 152 lots, so, okay, that's our number. And so we drew a map that had 150.
Jans Leosin Park is about
Yeah.
19.
The green one was
but
not,
it
never a
includes
proposal, it was
this
just to see how many. we
And,
could
Just
get.
concept.
and the public works.
I feel like you'd get a lot less pushback from the neighbors if you stuck to the
I don't think
18.5.
Dan wants that much space.
Yes.
And we still get our
All
little
the
buffer.
football and stuff that's going,
The state is asking for smaller.
Do we need more though? That's a Dan question. Dan's like,
1,000 is still quite large.
We don't like the state telling us what to do.
No, I mean, relative, I mean, West Point, holy cow.
And also, there are,
that's a nightmare, but that's what I'm saying. If we're wanting
You gotta announce the meetings though.
all right. No, do I?
What?
Even if this is a work session, I gotta announce it's over.
I'm lost. Sorry, super quick. Do we come back and do an official ask on this map? Which is as Mr. Ortega put, the best, 18 lots, you guys get the land.
I mean, there's still some logistics we gotta work out.
Oh, 100%,
Yeah.
we get the roads, we know that this is
I think we're not there
call
in
it
the
a
negotiation.
conceptual approval.
and I think what I'm hearing is that split that open space into half or 2/3 or
Whatever.
something. And so that would have
That-
homes,
that's a
but we
different
still get our
proposal. If
buffer.
you wanted to come with that, that would be okay. It's my opinion that I would be willing to give up the 17 or take the 17 for what you're proposing. I would be okay, but that's an opinion, and I don't mind if you guys disagree with that.
We don't want to burn any more time.
Right.
I think you're right,
You know,
because
from your guys' time.
if you look at future value, okay,
Yeah.
down the road, not today, but something, you know, when the wastewater, I mean, when the treatment plant's gone, and when the dump's gone, I mean, that might be 10, 15 years.
We'll all be gone.
Yeah.
It'll be longer than.
Longer, or longer.
But the
this
city could then,
What we're offering right now will be
I don't think
4
that,
or 5 times the value.
exactly. And the city could then develop that if we want to. Put houses there then, but, yeah. Okay.
once the market crashes.
Right, you're right, but anything can happen, but
A lot more value than what we're getting.
I agree.
So
So-
is it permissible, I guess, if we come back with an official application, to propose both this and the split the park in half option?
yes.
Can we have two? And you guys
Yes.
say, yes, we'll adopt map A or whatever?
And then you can get an indication on how the voting will go as well without an official vote.
Okay,
I don't
so
think
we
you
should
have to
just,
put a lot of money into it, just a concept again
yeah,
is
same
fine.
thing.
And I don't think that's gonna
Roads.
cost $100.
Catch the roads.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, if you're
thank you
willing-
for staying so late.
Good luck. Yeah.
We are still friends.
No, it's better.
It's good.
Recording stopped.